Oh, good morning. Good morning.
Yep, we're ready. Okay, good morning, everybody. I'd like to officially call to order the City Council special meeting this Tuesday, September 30th, 2025 at 8 a.m. The first agenda item, oh, Tom's not here.
I guess I would just move on to.
Okay,
C and.
we can't do agenda item B, the 2026 road bond appraisal until our city attorney gets here. So let's come back to that and move to the solar project and grant first. And Tom Blommer, if you want, did you want to address first or have me turn it to Dave and Lori? Okay, why don't you guys feel free to come up?
Hi, this is my associate Lori Crown from Premier Grant Writing Service. Can you hear me okay? Yes. We're offering to help you get a solar project going. And we think that it would be best to put it over on your wastewater treatment facility for best angle to the sun and least obstruction into anything else. Can I grab the remote? This is started by the state of Minnesota just this summer. They had 3 previous rounds for it called Solar on Schools, but now they opened it up to public buildings. So anyhow, eligible applicants, to skip the slide, are cities, tribal nations, counties, townships, and other things. And this is review for most of you that have seen this already, but I just want to review it. So they will give you up to $112,000 in a grant, and that is a maximum of a 40 kilowatt system. And that's about enough to power 4 average homes. So the direct pay makes up the other 30%. So the combination of the 70% and the 30% gives you 100% paid for system. And what we're trying to do is to get the grant writing services paid for you also, so it doesn't cost you anything. It may cost you something for a little bit of interim capital between the time that projects finish and the time that you get paid from the government. Usually it's 30 days for the state of Minnesota and 60 to 90 days for the federal.
Dave, can I have you come talk in this microphone, please?
Sure.
I don't that it's taking you.
So the direct pay is part of the what they call 48E clean electricity investment, and that is paid for by the federal government. And that's part of the IRA, the investment tax return. So we're in the process right now of getting this put together for you. The challenge that we have is timing. We've done all of these things already, and we've consulted with the clean energy resource teams, and we've talked to the director about it, and the project is eligible. So my company, Winkleman Solar Developers, develops the projects, and the way we get paid is from the installers at the end of the project. We've done hundreds of projects over the last 35 years. We've done quite a few for the city of St. Cloud. We've done about 8 projects there, including the Great River Regional Library. We've done some for CLC and Staples. I want to say something just for the mission of solar. One solar panel, one panel is equal to reducing the pollution equal to 17 mature oak trees over 30 years. So solar reduces our emissions compared to fossil fuels. And that's one of the reasons that I'm doing it. One of the other reasons, I love to fish, and there's more mercury in the fish than ever before. And it's getting to be more and more each year because of coal-fired power plants. The mercury goes up in the air and then it rains down over our lakes and ends up in the fish. And now the DNR says you can't eat more than 1 a week if you live here, or 1 a month if you live here, and 1 a week if you visit. I put up my first solar array in 1996 when I was a little younger. What we do is we get multiple bids for you so you don't have to go through the RFP process. And we have a list of our installers here. And we've worked with these installers on 1 or more projects each. Some of them we've worked with, 20, 30 projects. I know that someone had asked about Cedar Creek Energy the other day, and they're one of our installers. So what we do is put together the plan, take it out for bids for you, get the bids to you, and then you decide who you want to do the project. And then we follow through after you decide. So this is the work that we do for you up front. We do the feasibility studies, we conduct the site assessments, we learn the power company's rules, and you're Minnesota Power, I believe. And we've worked with them on many projects. And we develop preliminary designs. We get forecasts for 20 to 30 year production. We do the long-term environmental aspects and get the quotes for you, and then we maintain communications for everybody. So our payment comes at the end. In order to accomplish that, we ask for site control. Now, we want to have 2 years of exclusive site control so that we can have our work bear fruit. If we don't have site control, then we could, do all the work and lose the project. So it's no cost to you. There's no charge for the site control, but that's how we work. And so I'm going to turn it over to Lori Prem now. She's going to explain a little bit about the grants and the process for getting those.
Good morning. I'm Lori Prim from Cross Lake. I've been writing grants for about 6 years. Prior to that, I had a 28-year career with the census in Brainerd, so I've been around the area for a long time. I have Ann Raff from 50 Lakes permission to have you get a recommendation on the work. I've received several hundred thousands in grant funding for the city of 50 Lakes on various projects, park projects, solar, and so forth. I work for several nonprofits in the area and a public safety as well at 50 Lakes. Met David through the 50 Lakes project. He's been coordinating a solar installation for them. And we've had good success in getting the 2 grants that I'll mention to you today. First of all, if you are serious about this solar project and want to move forward, this is a wonderful opportunity. My radar is up every day because this is what I do now, is searching for grants, writing grants, reporting on grants. And I've been watching this solar grant for some time. And as David said, there were predecessor versions of it. The prior one to this was just if you were in the Xcel Energy footprint, then you could apply for this grant. Now they've opened it up to any utility company in Minnesota. And so that has given David an opportunity to talk to folks like you to see if we can get some more solar installations going in the area. So I've agreed to do a little bit of pro bono time to tee some of this up with him. I have a colleague in the Twin Cities who's also in the Grant Professional Association, certified master's degree, who will probably be partnering with me on some of this grant work should you decide to move ahead. But we'll be very transparent about that, about the people involved and so forth. So as David mentioned, the Solar and Public Buildings Grant is an amazing opportunity coupled with the federal payback of the 30% together. As he said, it's almost free, some cash flow funding for the gap timing, a little bit of staff time involved, certainly. I can't write a grant in a vacuum, so I need a contact to speak to about demographics, reviewing narratives that I write and things like that. So there's definitely some staff time involved. As David said, time is of the essence, so those things need to move very quickly. Deadline driven. So the Solar and Public Buildings Grant is due on November 14th. We never want to submit on the last day. Systems can crash and so forth. And the sooner we can get that in, the better, because it gets into the review queue more quickly. They're picking up grants as they come in rather than waiting for a deadline and then starting to review. So it's to our benefit to get in early. There is some risk of the funding running out, but they've had 14.5 million available. And I think because some of the timing issues that David and I have run into, I haven't talked to the director there recently, but they had a pretty slow start of grants coming in simply because the projects weren't teed up and ready quickly enough. So I think we have a pretty good shot at that funding. And then the other piece of it is that the other expense is the grant writing fees. Given the experience that I've had with some of my other clients, we have determined that the fees are running right around $5,000. Coincidentally and luckily, we have a couple of options for funding the grant writing. One is Sourcewell, who is a third-party reimbursement grant. You have a 15,000, every local entity has a $15,000 limit. You can only hire 2 people at that, to use up that $15,000 limit. My guess is with all of the things that Nisswa has going on, you've already used that up for the year, but that is something to check on. The other one that we used for 50 Lakes was the League of Minnesota Cities. They have a grant navigator program. They will fund somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000, depending on what you're doing, for grant writing fees and pre-engineering fees. They have a special focus on conservation, energy conservation projects. So, and that one we won successfully for 50 Lakes, and we won the Solar and Public Buildings for 50 Lakes as well. So that project got fully funded through several grants. So that's kind of exciting.
Yeah. It could open up the one that says picture JPEG. Yeah, that's the one. With Tom's blessing here, I, picked the larger of the lagoons. With Tom's help, I'm going to be picking out the site here. This is your wastewater treatment plant on the north end of where her cursor is. That's what we're looking at. It looks to be the best. And we can hook up to the little buildings in the middle with the electricity. So this is something, to decide. We don't have to decide the location immediately, but the sooner we can do a site plan, the sooner we can get the exact details for construction. So this is something we ask you to consider. Have you talked about this? Has anybody given, Tom, do you have any feelings about it?
Well, I think I mentioned it the other day when you asked me about this, is that I have a concern. I don't want them on the dike. They can't be on the sewer pond dike. And if you go north of that, there's a wet spot there. And you go beyond that state property.
Okay.
Cursor. So that would have to be better. That's like,
Maybe the larger lagoon would be a better spot? The north end of that?
again, you can't tell by this picture, but you know, that dike is really steep.
Sure.
And it runs almost up to the fence line, which is our property line in the state. If you were further to the east, where you see the road coming off of it, then the property becomes ours, but it would have to be quite a bit of site work there to level off or something there.
And Tom, could you come to the mic? Because also, I was just looking at the memo that you put together. And if you wouldn't mind, I'd love for you to just speak to it because I feel like we're talking here, but then there's some considerations here as well.
So, as you know, this is a significant project. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially. I feel that needs to be vetted. I had a conversation with the city attorney and he feels that we should probably slow down on this. Unfortunately, the time that's allowed by the project doesn't give us that. So after talking with Tom Pearson, the attorney, there's some risks that this may not all be paid for by grant. And right now, we don't have anything budgeted for a project like this. So my recommendation is that we hold our cards for another opportunity and maybe we could build a project, put it together. So if a grant were, say, extended or something, we could approach it then. But I think at this time, I don't think it's a project the city should involve themselves in.
Is this grant window, it closes and then it's done?
It
Or it
does,
might come around again?
since we've seen it repeat
Yep.
from the past, if they don't use up the funding that's available right now, David could speak to this as well. I would not be surprised if there was another round in 2026, but there is nothing stated that that will happen. So no guarantees.
Yeah, because the things that stand out to me in Tom Blommer's memoir, we don't have it budgeted. Two, we have these deadlines approaching, but it doesn't give us a time for, as Tom said, for quotes or vetting the project. And then also for us to be able to go to the public and ask the citizens for feedback. And that's number one. We need to have transparency. We need to get feedback from the citizens. I think for me, that's of critical importance. And then also the budget, because we're going through the budget process now for 26, but 25 is already done. But Councilmember Zahn, I think it looks like you have a question or comment.
Do you have, by chance, top of head, when the window opened up for this grant in 2025?
In August,
In August?
yeah.
So possibly anticipate August of 26?
Possibly, but the federal government is clawing back almost all of the incentives for solar. So I don't expect there was going to be another round for this. Because even where the funding comes from Xcel Energy's Prairie Island Renewable Development Fund, that money is slated to go elsewhere. So I don't think there's going to be another round of this particular grant. Hopefully there will be some other grants, but those of us in the solar industry are feeling kind of bad right now because the government's clawing back all the incentives.
Councilmember Fraley or London, do you have any questions or comments?
Saying, transparency and public work.
I just think it's too little amount of time to get everything set up, see how the public feels about it. And honestly, I'm not a big supporter of solar or wind, due to the fact that the environmental impact of the materials needed to build solar, which nobody ever points out, that's very toxic. Let's talk to the kids down in that are dying from mining some of the materials needed for, well, not only solar, but for batteries too. So my opinion is not to push forward with it. That's just where I sit.
Well, what about lighting? This is similar to doing lighting on buildings, putting in LEDs to reduce your electricity bill. Does that require all this jumping around? Can't we just say, okay, let's reduce our electric bill with some panels out in the lagoon? It's not that earth-shaking of a deal. And in regard to toxic emissions, there's so much more toxins that come from other types of energy forms that is hardly even comparable. Solar is mainly glass and aluminum and silver and silicon. And silicon is sand. So there's not a lot of toxins that are coming from that. And
Well, if
then
that were it,
recycling
then I would
may be
rather
pretty-
use nuclear than solar.
Pardon?
If I had my preference, nuclear is cleaner than solar. I would rather go with nuclear than solar.
Well, in my opinion, we need them all. We need nuclear, we need coal, we need oil. Our civilization is expanding so fast, we can't get electricity fast enough. And the old grid is falling apart, and solar can help enforce your grid. If you added a battery to this later on, you'd have your own power company. And then you could run your lagoons regardless of electric grids. So it's a good opportunity, but that's all it is. And I don't want to try to force it down your throat. I just want you to realize that, hey, this may never happen again.
We didn't hear from Councilmember Hall yet, so I want to see if he had any.
I guess I don't really have any comment on it. I mean, I'd take Tom's recommendation just on waiting.
Yeah. I think, you're presenting an opportunity. We truly appreciate it. And I don't know if someone wants to make a motion or not, but I just keep going back to Tom's recommendation. With how we're trying to be more transparent and have citizen involvement, and we have to go through a process, and city governments, municipalities are held to more processes, and you can't just decide to do things, or you shouldn't just decide to do things. You should follow the process. That's where I'm kind of stuck at this point. But I don't know if any council member up here has a motion at this point in time.
I don't think there's enough support for it anyway, so, what it is.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. to
Yes, no,
present.
thank you. We appreciate it. Now we'll jump back to the 2026 road bond appraisal, since Tom is here.
Since Tom made it, apology, I had 8:30 in my mind, so I apologize for that.
But that's why I thought it was at 8:30, and I called Mark and he said, no, it's at 8. So I would have been here at 8:30 too. Sorry, I didn't think to. call you back.
People got better things to do than wait on me. I apologize. Next week.
Tom, well, before we start with yours, is it best to have a motion to not move forward with the solar project and grant, or doesn't?
I think it's just been a presentation for the council to
Okay.
consider. If the council wanted to move forward, certainly that would take a motion, but I don't think a motion not to is required.
Okay.
I hadn't read it either. And got it till this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, am I what?
Are you up on those kind of projects?
That happen in the state.
These projects of this
Like-
type of
like this one?
grants? No, we construct 500 to 2,000 acre solar farm projects. This is
Different.
small, very small. And
That's fine. If we could just monitor it, see if it does come back
I
around.
mean, no, his point is accurate, and I think we all know the clawback on the federal side in regards to the Inflation Reduction Act, and it likely won't come around again.
That's what it is.
Until change in the Oval Office perhaps, but the federal ITCs have been gutted by the executive branch and the Secretary of Treasury, so I would not anticipate this coming up again for a while.
Is it expiring now?
The grant deadline is November 14th, and it may not come back, right?
It's been going for 3 years.
It may with the state,
But not with federal.
it may with the state, but likely not the federal side, the ITC tax credits that have been allotted to solar developers, wind developers have been gutted. Strangely enough, battery storage remained untouched. I would not anticipate it coming back for a few years.
Just reviewing through that sample.
Unless the state forks up more or the utility provides more. I mean, this state has a 100% carbon-free power generation goal by the year 2040. You might see it more from the state, but you won't see it from the Fed.
You know, the concern Tom and I had, we were looking at that sample grant agreement, which is if you got it, sign that agreement, and it's full of one-way termination if the legislature decides to pull a U-turn on it. You know, you're left holding the bag. It just made me super uncomfortable.
The one thing about his presentation that I did not understand either was why they would need to maintain ownership of the project for 2 years. Now, there is a warranty window, yes, but there's no warranty or there's no maintenance when it comes to that. It's generating power or it's not. You troubleshoot it, you restart it. If it does come back around, we'll have enough time to dig into it and be able to go solicit additional proposals perhaps. Tom, did you prepare this morning? Or this did not get out to us?
Yeah, I had to prepare it this morning.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
Apologize, I couldn't get it to you sooner, but
all right.
that's when I had information and a moment to get it ready, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
In Tom's defense on that, if there's a defense needed, that was stuff that we were reviewing on Friday. kind
No
of-
defense needed whatsoever. This popped up when Mr. Winkelman came to the Public Works meeting on
Last week.
Wednesday.
So one of the things he had said at our Public Works meeting, this whole grant thing wasn't released until August 29th. So it's essentially September 1st.
Oh, of this year?
Yeah, so for
Oh.
for the type of grant that we would be eligible for. Well, for us to move from, let's say September 1st till today approving this large of a project, there's so many things we would have
Yeah.
to review, even just the mechanics of it, you know, how does it work with our backup generator stuff? I don't know any of that. I would like to have had some more time to vet it. It might be great, but I just don't think we have enough time to
Makes
understand it.
sense. Should we move to the road bond appraisal?
Sure. You want me to have the floor on that?
Sure.
Okay, so, as you know, the city's engaged Melinda Johannick to, review these road sets and give us, an estimate of what the work will be to appraise these different road systems. What you see here is obviously not a hard quote. It's not even a real firm estimate about what the grand total will be, simply because just in talking with her. So I've talked to her a few times, then Tom and I had a conversation with her on Thursday or Friday, I forget which one. So Tom could hear some of the things that she had told me. But she reached out to me after she got the road sets and they did their initial investigation of these road systems to tell me that, there's a lot of variation, obviously, in these road sets and the sorts of properties that are in these road sets, from not extensive valuation to extensive valuation. And some of these road systems, for instance, Hole in the Day, Old Government Trail, represent potentially significant damage estimates. But for the purposes of what you're looking at today, which is this estimate, also because of those potential significant damage estimates, it's a different set of appraisal work that's necessary. So what Melinda has set out for you here, and talking with Tom and I at the end of the week, she believes that there are certain reports here that could be less expensive because they're gonna be less valuation properties that we're talking about, all the way up to uncomplicated reports, where damage valuations could exceed $25,000. So a more extensive reporting set, appraisal set would be necessary. My guess, and she's not saying it here, and I wouldn't expect her to, but we've probably got appraisal costs that could be touching six figures.
Hmm.
And then, be ready for some of these properties, to yield pretty extensive damage estimates. We're not just talking about front footage, we're, as she explained to us, for instance, any properties that are on Gull Lake aren't just looked at like what the roadside value that somebody's talking about. It's the lake frontage that comes into play, right? And then some of these properties with extensive landscaping and other things, much like we saw on the trail, right? We saw the variations that happen with trees, with fencing, that kind of thing, that add severance damages when you take portions of property here. So to me, what we need here is some conversation if you want to have it, because we certainly need to go through appraisals. I'd like to get a motion after we're done talking to engage her, even though you don't have a firm quote on this, just knowing roughly what I think the range is gonna be. Then I think you need to have a discussion. I'm going down the wrong track here. Let me know, Tom. I think you need to have a discussion about whether or not to pare back this project somewhat because of the exposure there could be to significant damage appraisals on some of these road systems. I'll stop there.
If I can add comment to that, would you potentially suggest that we, the city, consider alternate solutions for lakeside roadage? Prescriptive services versus the proposed?
So after talking with Tom, what I would suggest we do is we go back and we look at the list of the roads and the cul-de-sacs, like he was calling out Old Government Trail. There's not a lot of people that are served by those roads. I think we could operate within the prescriptive easement and maybe we just simply resurface those. While I would like to clean up the right of way for future generations and do some of the drainage work that we've outlined, it might be just too cost prohibitive. I think if we're going to purchase right of way and go down that path, I think we should save our resources for more significant roads, say like Upper Roy Lake Road or City Hall Street. And I think with Bill's help, we can probably just go through the list and make a recommendation to you where we would continue to seek right of way and others where we're just gonna simply do a repaving project.
Do you know, based on the 2026 road bond, I don't have the list of the roads in front of me today, but is it just these two roads that we're running into this with, or is it?
No,
Doesn't-
there'll be others.
Okay.
It might be less extreme. I think Old Government Trail and Polk Road are probably the most extreme
Mhm.
in this set. But I'm sure there's other ones where we're gonna run into some folks who have property that has significant value.
Hole in the day.
Hole in the day.
Yep.
And I think she mentioned Edna Lake Road as
Oh.
potentially a,
Yeah.
big one too. Yeah. Where that sets. Yeah. Oh, and there's a property or two down there that down on the end have some buildings that are close to setbacks as they are, or within setbacks roadside.
Now that one's kind of interesting. It might be as simple as for Edna Lake Road. There are spots where erosion's a big problem. And so we may want to continue with certain aspects of that road to seek the right of way. But maybe the rest of it, we don't have to. That again, something I'd have to review with Bill and Tom to make a recommendation of,
Mhm.
we still need to do this, but we can forego it in other areas.
It's like one of those situations where you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, because we understand why we've even considered curb and gutter for proper drainage.
So there's
And,
other
if we don't
avenues.
do it now, what is the project cost gonna be for the next generation, as you allude to? Right,
Yeah.
I mean, but we gotta be cognizant with the resources. It's the
Joe,
tough.
do you have something?
Just on Old Government Trail there, I know our ordinance doesn't currently allow, the private roads, stuff like that. I do know an individual there that would be interested in taking over a chunk of that road that they had mentioned in the past. If that's something that we wanted to consider turning over part of it and, eliminating some costs there if we were able to turn it over privately. Just conversation piece for some of these neighborhoods like that where it dead ends.
Similar as we've talked about with East and West Linden, possibility of that happening there too. So,
Mhm.
Right.
I mean,
but-
I think those are discussions we should have.
Right. I know that runs into hiccups for Tom. They always want, hey, come plow my road then and do that. So there's, I'll say future, people calling in here asking the same questions over and over about a private road versus expense to us, so.
It's why we discourage that these days when fresh plats come. Back in the day, that was pretty common thing. Now we don't let it happen for precisely that reason.
I think some folks would probably be happier if we, develop a rustic road standard that I've talked about
Yeah.
a couple of
Yes.
times. I
Maybe
think
people
that gives them the best of both worlds where they would have more of a private road feel,
Mhm.
but the city still does the plowing. Tree clearing and that kind of thing.
So Tom, you said you would like a motion to engage Melinda?
We do need a motion for that because we need to get her going on this. And then before you get there though, Tom, kind of playing this on the fly. Assuming there is a motion to approve that, we talked with Melinda about a discussion once you do this, where we would sit down with her, at least the three of us, and maybe also Bill, and then sort of go through and sort which of these road systems could fall under the heading of the least expensive, the MDA, MDV, uncomplicated. So she's got some directions about which ones to use, which reporting feature for. Once we do that, it may be that some of these road systems end up, the recommendation is to pare some of these road systems out of this project. And if that's the case, that probably takes your approval to do that. And if that's the case, my recommendation is that we would continue this meeting to the end of the week so that we
Okay.
can have a final for you as far as, and probably a better idea at that point, once we sort these for what a cost will be from her.
But when you say final, Tom, you're referring to the specific set of roads?
Yes.
That would be included in
And are
26.
we,
If we come out of that discussion with a suggestion to you that some of these road systems should be taken out of this process, that will help her refine her quote and we'll have it sorted as to which sort of appraisal report.
for the rest of the council to kind of have a general
Mhm.
idea of it, are we generally assuming the Gull Lake roads? And I guess additionally, let me ask, is this just for 26 road bond project or also 27?
Today, we're just talking about 26.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't even know
But,
what the news will be.
Well,
yeah,
right, but this conversation will come up a year from now for 27, so.
It will, but what we'll do for the following project is because of the complexity of it. This conversation will be happening a lot earlier, so we have some better idea of what realities might look like the ones we're talking about today. This is happening now, so that she can get to work. And we're only discovering stuff we couldn't know based on their drive-through of some of these road systems. That's why she called me with an alert last week to say some of this stuff could go right through the roof.
so you would want to come back to us at the end of this week?
Yeah, what do you think about that?
Or could we move
Or is
that
that
to
too,
next?
to next week? Because we're
next
meeting.
Wednesday when we have our other meeting,
We have a meeting next Wednesday.
Either one's fine.
or is that too late?
Either way, I guess, Tom, you tell me what
It
you.
doesn't matter. We could probably spin it to there, because I think what we could do is we'll sit down for, like we talked about, in game plan and sort these. And we may come out of that meeting with what we think is gonna be a recommendation about some of these road systems. But she can still get started on the ones we know she's gonna do,
Unless the-
based on the fact that they're hiring her today. Then we can go back to the council to get an affirmation of that recommendation.
So just kind of building on what we've talked about a little bit. So if we wanted to repave these roads as they sit with they are, we could use our prescriptive easement and we wouldn't need to pursue easement
I think it
to
would-
just do that. Am I
Don't you
correct?
agree with that? I mean, we're doing that with a lot of stuff the way it is.
Remember, that's what it was.
Prescriptive easement, what we figure was
You want
10
to
feet outside the
From
existing
Jacob
roadway.
to do-
Mhm.
And in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
And in a lot of cases, that's how we came up with whether we needed an easement or not. If we were outside of, if the construction limits were outside of that prescriptive easement line, then that's how we came up with, coming up with a permanent or a temporary easement for those parcels. And that was the case on a lot of these roadways using prescriptive use.
So, just for frame of reference, so let's talk about, Hole in the Day Bay Drive. The last house, for example, before you get on the 371, right where the culvert is, converts to a dirt road to connect over to Interlochen or Gull Lake Drive. They have landscaping right up to that pavement.
Mhm.
How much footage would we be looking to obtain through this easement? Would we be needing to obtain for this project on both sides?
One of the things,
Cause I'm trying to gauge like a guesstimate of what, say, one particular property on Gull Lake could be, and that's a great example because
That's the example.
yeah, that is the example. Yeah,
what we were proposing to do with that parcel, that's the one that we're talking about right at the corner, is MinDOT's 371 plan.
Right.
Redoes that, Hole in the Day Drive right in front of their house, all the way around the lake right there. So our plan for the 26 streets was basically to end right before that property began and let MinDOT deal with the right-of-way acquisition and all the stuff that they needed to do there. We would just get drainage to work in that location and let MinDOT deal with the right-of-way acquisition.
but as of right now,
But that MinDOT project's,
that project is on hold.
yeah, it's not
based
driving
on-
forward.
But we can blend in, or we can
Yeah.
match into that existing roadway with what we have right now.
So let's just then use reference the property before that,
Yeah.
the house that you're.
Right.
you
The,
know,
the one before that, we would have.
How many feet are we looking to, would the city be trying to acquire? Is it 5, 10?
I think that house before it is
Are
set
you asking?
up on the hill.
What?
So the width of the road now, we're going to what width? Are we staying the same width? So how much land are we gonna have to acquire on each sides of the roads or just on one side? Are we looking at 5 feet, as Jesse said? Are we looking up to 20 feet?
I
could
don't have the
clear this
drawing
up by
in front
then.
of me, but it's usually, like on the 371 side, that's MinDOT right away. On the other side is that property. And what we're putting in there is a ditch, so we're like 10 feet.
Hmm.
So we're probably asking for another 10 feet, 5 or 10 feet in there
And if
On the lakes.
if
on the lakes.
On the lakeside. So now
Right.
you've got, oh gosh.
So if that property, if a property value is $2 million taxable value, and we're taking that much, which could represent 1 to 5% of what the total is, I mean,
That's expensive.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, you're tracking with the math, and it's not just the land, that one is just an example of extensive landscaping.
More in there that are.
Yeah, that's just easy to see when you roll by there, yeah.
So we need you guys to come back.
So kind of to clear this up, I mean, this is accurate, but what I would say is some of these lower traffic roads where the property values are high, we would use prescriptive easement. And so the roadway would be milled up and put back in its current width.
Mhm.
There would be no migrating from where the pavement sits today, or very minimal at the best. So ditching and that kind of thing wouldn't happen. The cost to the city, if you will, is we aren't doing the ditching and some of the drainage improvements. The pavement may not last the full 30 years that we're hoping for. But that's the trade-off, so.
Okay,
I would say try and turn more roads over to MinDOT.
yeah.
Right, yeah. You'd think a big portion of it was.
so would you like a motion for a continuation of this?
Well, I think you need some motion first
And-
for Melinda.
And
need
a
a mo-
motion to engage.
We need a motion to go ahead and engage her to go to work. As far as a continuation, when's the next meeting? Another special meeting next week?
Wednesday.
Okay, so, okay, 8:30? That was my confusion. There you go. All right. I'll be here at 8 o'clock, of course. Right, so two motions. One would be to go ahead and authorize the hiring of Melinda Johannick to do this work. That would be the first motion. The second motion would be to continue this agenda item to that Wednesday meeting so that we can come to you at that point with a final recommendation for which roads we're doing.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the engagement of Johannick appraisals at the recommendation of the city attorney.
Second.
Okay, any additional discussion on this motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
I'd also like to make a motion for continuation of the topic of 2026 road bond appraisals to the Wednesday, October 8th special meeting, scheduled at 8:30 a.m.
Actually, just to add to that, this agenda item continued to that date.
Yes,
I did say that,
I think he
right?
did say that.
Oh, just in my version? Continuation of this agenda item.
There it is. Thank you.
Okay. Now do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, any additional discussion on that motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Bruce.
Well, I would just like to be involved in that meeting with you three guys,
Yeah.
or you guys, so.
No.
Cause I think there's some things that we can discuss.
I had your BW.
Oh, I know, I just wanted to make sure I was listening.
Okay, is there any additional discussion that we need to have on this topic? Otherwise, it sounds like,
I just have one question. When the meeting happens, then will a bunch of this stuff then be looked at to push off to 27? And then if so, can we get a plan for what 27 might look like or how we might reform that with part of the conversation?
My intention is not to push any of these off to 27, it's just a change of scope for each road.
Okay.
okay, very good. Any other dialogue from council? Otherwise, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.